All right, Chris and Wes are here. As always, a rainy Friday. We are about 29 hours away from the start of the spring game. Guys, is there any event, is there any less meaningful American sporting event that we care more about?
Oh, wow.
Just got right into that
Put
one.
me on the spot.
Yeah.
I was thinking about taking a shot at like soccer or something with my answer, but
You had nothing.
probably not. I mean, spring
Pro Bowl?
games. Yeah,
Ooh, that's a great
Pro
nomination.
Bowl. Does anybody even
but
care?
nobody gives nobody cares about the Pro Bowl. I
Gives
don't
a
think.
what, Wes?
Oh, you went with the Twitter take of nobody cares about that thing that millions of people watch?
The Pro Bowl?
Didn't I read something that
There's
said a
no
lot
way
of people...
millions of people
Yeah,
watch
like I think it was like 6 or 7 million people this year watched the Pro Bowl.
But what does that compare to?
Well, okay, I should
not
say
much,
it this way: 6 or 7 million people had the Pro Bowl on a television,
yeah, exactly.
which
8 million viewers on average, according to Mike Freeman of the NFL. In the first 2 rounds of the NBA playoffs in 2018 only averaged 4.9 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just shows you how big the NFL is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know,
The
it's a big
NFL
deal.
is indomitable.
You put NFL on it, it's big.
Yeah, it's not even close. But regardless, we love the spring game, even though
We
it
do.
doesn't really mean anything, even though more often than not we have at least as many questions and probably the exact same amount of answers leaving spring as we do entering spring. But it's fun. It's an opportunity to watch some football, to celebrate our compulsive love for football in the spring, in the middle of baseball season, at the end of basketball season.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to finally do our Spring King segment that we've been teasing you guys about for weeks now. We're actually finally going to do it now that the spring game's tomorrow. We're going to give just a quick look ahead to what is going to be a fun weekend, and especially on the recruiting trail. So, guys, let's jump right in. I had Chris on my local show yesterday asking him how he sort of watches the spring, and I'll ask you again for a new listening audience. What is your guys' experience watching the spring game like compared to watching just another football game? Is it more relaxed, or are you more dialed in because you're trying to learn a little bit more?
I'd say it's a little bit more relaxed, especially, man, once you get to the second half, I feel like there's sort of you almost sort of lose interest, I think, and you can feel the fans sort of lose interest as the second half goes on. But, I especially the first half, I try to pay attention to, first of all, for a school that doesn't really put out a lot as far as depth charts and stuff like that. Granted, there will be guys that aren't playing due to injury, but you can kind of start to get a feel who's maybe past who since we started spring, when you see who goes out there first, basically. So I first of all try to get a feel for maybe a depth chart, and then I'm watching individuals trying to, especially the guys we haven't seen, the freshmen, the newcomers, guys like that. That's always been my focus. The quarterbacks, I think Saturday is what everybody will be focused on. But first chance to see Zach Pickens, I'll be watching that. Kevin Harris, the young running back. So for me, it's more about trying to watch individuals. And, I always go back and rewatch the actual games on TV after the fact. Don't think I'd do that for a spring game.
I actually do watch the spring game back because I'm a big dork. Sometimes, I watch it back. But no, I'm generally, it is a little bit more relaxed for me, like Wes said, sort of taking everything in at the beginning, and then if there are any specific things that, want to see on a rewatch or something that I maybe didn't pay attention to, or something I may have missed just on the live watch, sort of go back and rewatch that. But it's not super, super dialed in like on a rewatch or anything where you're maybe trying to pick out some particular things.
So we've gone through, I guess, some of the bigger picture stuff, some of the positional stuff in terms of the race for the backup quarterback, the running back room, the secondary, things like that. And without going, again, like too big picture, what are maybe some specific matchup, specific guys that you're looking for and what you're looking to see out of them? Like, are you excited to see Josh Vann to see if he's improved his route running, or are you excited to, see how J.C. Horn lines up at the corner instead of the nickel? Like, what are some of those things, some of the specific things that you're going to be watching for tomorrow?
You want to take this one, Chris?
I will.
You mean Big Dork? He's Big Dork now.
I would say, for me, I think it's O-line, D-line. I mean, I think there's going to be a very limited window where it's sort of good on good in this game, where it's Jake Bentley, where it's Brian Edwards, where it's, J.C. Horn and Israel Mukwamu. I mean, some of those guys obviously need reps, and they'll all get reps, but I don't think we're going to be able to really glean a whole lot from this game when you're in the second half and you've got backup receivers working against walk-on cornerbacks. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell a lot. So for me, it's about the positions that have a little bit more depth and have some questions as to some backup spots or even starters. So for me, that's the O-line and the D-line. There's still a battle going on at center, at right guard. A lot of backup spots, if not starting spots on the defensive line. There's more depth certainly there. So just curious to get a look at some of the players, whether it's, Javon Gwynn, Hank Manos, Chandler Farrell, Jordan Rhodes, Eric Douglas on the O-line, and then the defensive line, Pickens, Anderson, Jabari Ellis, Devontae Davis, some of those newcomers and guys who have been around for a little bit and are looking to take that jump.
Dude, I think one of the position battles we haven't really even talked about is Aaron Sterling and J.J. Enigbare at defensive end. When Enigbare moved to end, I kind of penciled him in as being the starter there, but it seems like Sterling, for the most part, has sort of held him off. I know Muschamp mentioned Enigbare having a really good practice the other day when Muschamp spoke. So, I think that's a good battle, and I think I'm kind of excited to see some of these young linebackers. Ernest Jones, in his second year now, he got a ton of snaps in practice because T.J. Brunson's been out, so a chance to see a lot of him, chance to see Derek Boykins, live really for the first time. He's a young guy that I think has some upside, so that's some other, I guess, position battles or spots I'm interested in seeing.
What answers do you expect to have after tomorrow? I mentioned earlier, oftentimes we leave with more questions than answers. Do you think, nothing will be resolved because obviously they go through fall camp and that's when they will set the depth chart, but do you think, at least from the fan perspective, that we will get any clearer picture as to who the backup quarterback is, who the number one running back is, what the starting secondary is going to look like, or what the defensive line rotation is?
I don't think so, but I do think, you may not be able to win the backup quarterback job in the spring game, but I think you can really put yourself in a position to maybe have some momentum, right, going into the offseason. I think, they're not going to come out and name a starter after the spring game because it's been so close. Dan Warner said they're not even close to naming a number two. But I think if one of that trio of guys, obviously Helinski, Carrion Joyner, and Jay Urich, if one of those one of those guys just comes out and just lights it up, then their teammates see that too. So, you start to maybe gain a little bit of support there. And B, I think that gives you some confidence going into the offseason, and it would be something to build off of. So I think it's an opportunity for one of those guys to sort of start to make that move, and then if they can carry it over into the offseason, maybe that's the beginning of us kind of finding a winner to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Big Dork, what answers do you expect to get tomorrow?
I don't think we're going to get a ton. I think we'll be able to see some individual improvement and just sort of see some things play out that maybe we've been hearing, like with the quarterbacks, seeing some improvement with DeCarrion Joyner, seeing what we think we'll see out of Ryan Helinski, just being sort of a steady guy, a guy who can make some big-time throws. Maybe see some see some of the rotations as to how they're handling things, and see some flashes from some of the guys and some improvements. But as far as just like, who's the guy going to be? Like Wes said, just to echo him.
You're just copying my answer, man.
I'm just copying. Who's going to be the backup quarterback? Who's going to be the running back? Those are things that there's a reason that, you have spring, then summer, then preseason. They're going to need some more time to sort all those things out.
Who is the one player y'all are most interested in seeing?
Ryan Helinski for me.
Right.
Just because I haven't been to any of the even bits of practice that the media has been allowed to see, so I haven't seen him throw a football in person. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be up in D.C. So, but just watching it on TV.
And Johnny Dixon isn't here yet.
Right?
So
yeah. And that would have been. That's the guy that I'm most excited to see in the fall. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think I need to mention in another Carolina podcast heretofore that Johnny Dixon is my favorite player and hasn't even stepped on campus yet. But yeah, for me it's Helinski just to see what he looks like. And by all indications, he's been as impressive as advertised physically and just in terms of throwing the football.
Yeah, no, I mean, not to pull a Chris and just copy your answer, but it would probably be
it's off the table.
Holinsky.
No, it's gone.
No.
We can only pick one guy.
Who
once.
makes I'm executive producer.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I'm still going to say Ryan Holinsky. Chris, who are you most excited to see?
Yeah, I mean, that would be my answer. So I'll just pick another guy and pick DeCarrion Joyner.
Oh no. Okay. Well, let me check. I'm most excited to see Sedarius Hutcherson at left tackle. Boom. Okay. No one else is picking that.
All right.
Well, you just picked it.
So yeah, I just want us to all have different. I have this problem when I go out to eat with my friends where
you will order the same thing as them.
I'll be looking at the menu. I'm like, oh, I really want that, and then they order first, and they get that, and I'm like, damn it, I gotta get something else now. Which is really annoying.
Do you like trade bites?
That's not explicit. You can say that in the Bible. Oh yeah, absolutely. All my friends were.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah, we're sharers. We'll get whatever and try whatever. But I've just also resorted to ordering first.
Oh,
so that I can avoid that, which is also difficult for me because I'm just a very indecisive person. But Chris, who are you most excited to see in person tomorrow?
DeCarrion Joyner.
How many times does he have to say it?
Just twice. He already said it once, and then
I
asked
three
him.
Times. That was
three times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first time you just said it twice for no reason. I only had to ask you twice. DeCarrion Joyner, Ryan Holinsky, and Sedarius Hutcherson at left tackle.
Well, I mean, we've heard a lot about his improvement this spring. Not that I don't think he's going to come out and look like Jake or Ryan Holinsky in terms of throwing the ball. I don't think that's as much his game, but we all knew coming in, we knew this is going to be a guy with leadership ability, intangibles, athleticism, and has showed in high school improvement in throwing the ball and knew that he could make those throws, but not as consistent. And we knew coming in last year, the decision-making, just learning the offense. Dan Werner spoke some about that on Thursday. Will Muschamp mentioned it last year about talking about Urick and Joyner, just wanting those guys to improve with their decision-making. So we've heard good things about all those, and so I just want to see that sort of come together and see how he performs, with the keys of the offense.
In some ways, I feel like the spring game maybe provides a purer or more pure. Which one is it? More pure or purer?
No idea.
We'll just say a better opportunity
there you go.
To assess quarterbacks. And obviously, they're not going to really be under pressure. The defense isn't allowed to hit the quarterbacks.
No, they will be able to.
Oh, they can hit the quarterbacks?
Yeah, the young quarterbacks will be completely live.
Okay.
There will be a pass rush. They will be hit. It will be completely live.
Well, that's a great
football.
distinction. I did not know that. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Gamecock Central this week, you would know.
Yeah, I can't read all your stuff. There's so much good content. I can't get to it all.
There you go.
But
it's a good spin job there.
Yeah, wasn't that great? That's why I do this. But I think it's probably going to be easier to assess quarterbacks in a context like this than it is the trenches. And I was talking to Coach Kimmery about this on Jay Phillips' show yesterday, and Coach Kimmery said no, like the guys in the trenches are going to give 100% effort. They're going to be trying. A lot of these guys are battling for starting position, but even knowing that, even having that inside perspective, I feel like it's easier for quarterbacks, receivers, and defensive backs to like really go 100%, where I'm not saying that the offensive and defensive linemen aren't going to be trying, but it's brutal down there. They try to stay off the ground as much as possible, so you're at least eliminating that part of it. And I think it's impossible, or I think it's harder to simulate like game action in the trenches than it is on the perimeter. And so I think that's why it makes sense that we all went with quarterbacks, not just because it's the most exciting, but I think we will be able to learn more about Holinsky and DeCarrion Joyner just watching them toss the pigskin around the field than we will necessarily about the linemen until we see them go up against other linemen. Is that fair?
I think so, and clearly the fact that they're making those guys live says something about their want and need to see them in a situation that really cannot be simulated any other way. I don't think. You can, the 7-on-7 stuff is fine for decision making and sort of seeing coverages, and certainly you can, you see quarterback coaches throw pads at guys and stuff like that, and sort of try to distract them and hit them, while they're throwing. But to really truly experience that, you have to be able to do it. And, I think it'll be interesting to see how those guys respond, which apparently the last two scrimmages they've had in practice, the young guys have also been live and been able to be hit, which, not all coaches are willing to do that. But I think if you're going to get a true evaluation and get some actual experience, it's not the same as a game, but it's much closer than if you were just saying, hey, these guys are going to run at you, but they can't actually hit you.
We'll have a full breakdown of all the questions the questions that we get and the answers that we don't get of the spring game, of course, next Thursday when we record another Carolina podcast. Are there anything else that you want to mention before the spring game? The shelf life of this, admittedly, is a little bit short before the game actually starts. But anything else that you guys want to point out that you think will be an interesting storyline as we head into the spring game?
Chris is looking at me. I'm looking at Chris, which I think means
it's a stare down.
No.
Which means
we got to talk recruiting.
We got to talk big recruiting weekend. A ton of guys that are visiting this weekend. And if you want the full list, check that out on Gamecock Central, because we're not going to have enough time here to go into all of the guys that are coming to visit. But each of you give me 2 guys that are coming to campus this weekend that you think this is an important visit, and not someone that's already committed, so it's just going to be like cursory going through the motions, and not someone that has already firmly committed elsewhere you believe, and this is just sort of, again, like sort of going through the motions, sort of a perfunctory visit. But who do you think this could be a really important visit for?
Perfunctory, good word.
Yeah. I will take the obvious first and say Jordan Burch. I think we have to go into him here in a second. And then I'll say Michael Wyman.
2 good ones.
I took 2 really good ones from you.
Okay, well, give
Chris.
me a why. You can't just give me some names.
He just hit and run it.
Yeah,
What
are your 2?
My 2 are, and I'm going through the list. Oh, man, it's really hard to pick.
I know, there's a lot.
Because there's some good ones.
There's one other one you have to have, I feel like, because he has 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, Marshawn Lloyd, the running back from Maryland, is a 5-star running back, and this will be his second visit to campus, I believe, this year, right? And he's definitely this will be his second visit. And he's due in on Friday, recording this on Friday. So he's due in today and staying till Sunday, so spending a couple nights on campus. And Thomas Brown, the running backs coach for Carolina, has done a really good job with that one. And so that's one to watch.
Great rationale. Great justification for your pick there.
Thank you.
I'm getting
Chris.
there.
Okay, all right. Wes is just coming back.
Wes is looking at me because he's like, you weren't supposed to justify yet, but that's okay.
No, these people need to know why these guys are interesting.
I was more saying I was going to name the 4, and then we were going to go.
We're still building our chemistry on this show.
Yeah,
we don't know each other very
well.
They
just met at the beginning of the week, actually.
We don't
I'm
really
waiting to see if you go with the same guy that I had 4 in
your
mind.
backup. Okay, Desmond Tisdale would be. That'd be the other one. And, that's an important one because that's the guy, linebacker out of Georgia. Carolina offered him really early. Got into really good position where Gamecocks almost landed him early in the year. And then, predictably, he started picking up more offers. Auburn worked itself into a really good position with him, too. And so that's sort of been the primary battle. So getting him back on campus for Carolina for the spring game is really significant, in my opinion, and a chance for them to make another move.
And no relation to Ashley, correct?
No.
Okay. Ashley Tisdale of High School Musical fame. Was she in High School Musical?
This is Tisdale.
Huh?
Spelled different.
Oh, it is actually spelled differently?
It's Tisdale.
D-A-L-L?
D-O-L.
D-O-L?
Yeah.
Just D-O-L, not D-O-L-L?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then definitely not related to Ashley Tisdale. I thought you were just saying it weird.
No, it's just my accent from Belton.
Belton?
Yeah.
Where's Belton?
Upstate, right beside Anderson.
Okay, I was going to say, because I feel like I know where you're from, but I guess in the past you've just told me you were from Anderson.
I am.
And not gone into the Belton part of it.
Yeah.
I really didn't think we'd get any High School Musical references.
I didn't either.
The over-under was definitely a half.
I use
and
Belton
we crushed the over.
When I'm making fun of myself for how like Southern or redneck tendencies or whatever, then I go with Belton to justify it.
Wow, the poor people of Belton only get credit when their names being dragged through the mud.
Hey.
Wait, so you're saying when you're doing great, you're giving Anderson credit,
No,
and when things are going south,
trust me. There's some other things I could pin on the Anderson side of me.
Trying to get him in trouble.
Yeah, and I think I did. I can hear the angry listeners in Belton right now. I think Belton's a wonderful place. I've never been there, but I'm sure it's beautiful and charming.
Nice place.
Yeah, great people. If Chris is any indication, Wesley, justify your picks.
I mean, it's Jordan Burch. Like that's. I mean, dude. Everybody yesterday.
Why is this big for him?
Everybody yesterday was talking about Jordan Burch. To me, this has become like the recruitment that everybody, even if you're not a huge recruiting fan, this has started to spread over into the more casual fan. And I think
Clowney or something.
Yeah, and sorta. Ryan Helinski. I mean, we always joked last year that if we wanted people to click on a story, it just needed to have Ryan Helinski in the title. because
Ryan Helinski folds a blanket.
Because people would probably click
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, which way did he fold it? Was it a fitted sheet or was it more of an actual blanket?
You can't fold a fitted sheet. You just cram that in the closet.
Ryan Helinski probably could fold one, I think.
He probably could.
But he does everything else well.
This is going to turn into like Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, so but no, this is the recruitment right now from a media standpoint and from a fan base standpoint that sort of has everything. You have a 5-star guy that is, what do we have him, number 13 in the nation now? So
yes.
Highly recruited. Local kid, he's going to school at Hammond in Columbia.
Shout out my alma mater.
And South Carolina versus Clemson, Dabo versus Muschamp. Both schools really want him. So the fact that if it ends up following through where he's on campus Saturday, that'll be 3 weeks in a row that Jordan Burch will have been in Columbia. Chris, we had the discussion on the board of if Jordan Burch went to Clemson this weekend. This is before it looked like he was going to be in Columbia. Did that mean anything? Or what did that mean? And I think the consensus was, well, he's been at South Carolina 2 weekends in a row. If he's at Clemson, then it's just sort of, he's checking out both schools. But then we were talking even before it happened, what if he's back at South Carolina, meaning 3 weekends in a row? Do you read into that, and how much?
I mean, if a guy visits anywhere 3 straight weekends, even if he lives in Columbia, that's pretty significant. I mean, you're talking about, sorry, I seriously had a cramp in my hamstring.
You got to stretch, man.
I did.
You did? This morning you stretched?
Yeah, I played soccer this morning.
I thought you played on Friday. Oh, it's Friday.
It is Friday.
Oh, how'd it go?
We normally, pretty well.
Good. I'm never going to play with you, but I appreciate the outstanding invitation. It's just too early, but I want to.
We'll do it sometime.
I thought
I'll
Chris
come to a later
was
game.
About to die.
Yeah.
He had this look on his face for about a half second where it looked like
he just ran out of oxygen.
Like it was over. Like it was done.
It popped pretty bad on me there. I don't know. That was weird.
That's old age right there.
Oh, what, a 32-year-old hammy?
Yes.
Good grief.
It's an old hammy.
All right.
Anyway. So, but, even if a kid lives in Columbia, if you visit 3 weekends in a row, it's pretty significant. I mean, because then you're, past 2 weekends, okay, Carolina's got practice going on. Alex Huntley's on campus too. But one of those visits was just sort of like you just sort of show up. The other one he's expected. Now you're picking between Clemson and South Carolina. Obviously, Clemson wants Burch at their spring game. It's a big, sort of with the success they've had, sort of become a big, big event for them. And certainly it's definitely a big recruiting weekend for them too, with some of the guys that they've got coming in. They got a lot of talent getting on their campus too this weekend. And
they got like 80,000 people to go to their spring game. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot. Well, I mean, when you do what they've done lately, I mean,
yeah. But I mean, even before that, like I remember Brent, because he grew up in Georgia, talking about how big that thing always was. And I mean, people tailgate for it.
Right.
And I mean, the spring game is big pretty much anywhere in the SEC except for Vanderbilt. You remember when they didn't have it 2 years ago, by the way? That was funny.
Yeah, that's right.
That was awesome.
That was really bad.
And then I think they have to have it now. I think it's mandated by the conference that they have the spring game now. I think I remember reading that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's incredible how many people they have there. Yeah.
He's choosing, Carolina, and so I think that's significant. And I think people, I've noticed this, Wes. I mean, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but people are sort of now, I guess, coming around to the idea that South Carolina has a good chance with Burch, which is sort of something that been indicating. I think there's just been so much stuff going around about Clemson. I think people have had a hard time believing it. And 2 really different recruitments, but I think a lot of people thought that Zach Pickens was going to be a Clemson lot because he lived in Anderson, 20 minutes away.
Was he also from Belton?
He's not.
I think he's from Anderson proper.
He's Anderson proper. Okay. And, and then you got Georgia really close. Both those schools wanted him, and so people just sort of wrote him off with the success Clemson was having. And it was, no, Carolina's, got a really good shot with him. And that sort of, as time went on, became more and more apparent. And so I think we're seeing that with Burch. We don't know yet what he's going to do for sure, by any means. It's still going to be a battle however long it goes on. But I think this just illustrates that point, that South Carolina's right in there.
Let's go down this rabbit hole, though. First of all, do you, and for those who haven't really been following very closely, not much information gets out of his camp, which I think is part of the reason. There's a lot of Clemson speculation for months, but how much of that was truly accurate and how much, was more people reading tea leaves and stuff like that, I think is a question worth asking, because some of these kids, it's fairly easy to get information. With Burch, very close to the vest. Nobody truly knows, I don't think, what's going on. But first of all, could you see a scenario where he goes ahead and just gets this thing over with in the next couple of months? Because we've seen, to me, it's a trend right now, prospects who just want to be done with all this junk before their senior years start.
Yeah,
I just get that vibe. I don't know. It's more of a gut feeling from doing this for a long time. I don't know that it's going to go like super
to February.
Long.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I almost think that would be a little bit more, make it a more difficult pull for Carolina. I mean, not that it's easy right now, but if he waited it out. But I could see that. I mean, some of the sort of scuttlebutt has been, and that is really all that it is. Maybe a little bit more than scuttlebutt, whatever a level higher than that would be. Pearson, you come up with a word.
I like that. I like that word though.
Yeah, come up with a level above that, and we'll go with that. But that he may do something this summer, but you never know. I mean, a guy could just be like, look, I mean, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's not a big limelight guy. His family's not big into the limelight or the attention that comes with recruiting. And if they find a place and they feel comfortable with it, then I could definitely see that, Wes.
Do you feel like ballyhoo is a level above scuttlebutt? Or is that on the same level?
I thought that was a different type of word. Isn't that more of like...
is ballyhoo maybe more like tomfoolery?
Ballyhooed. Like a ballyhooed recruit is like a big time, right? Somebody that there's much ballyhoo about.
Maybe.
Yeah. Extravagant publicity or fuss. So, yeah.
Right.
So wait, for ballyhoo?
For ballyhoo.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that might be equivalent to scuttlebutt. I'll keep workshopping it over here while y'all talk about interesting things.
Yeah, you workshop that.
But the other side, and if it happens, obviously we'll talk about this a ton. But what would a commitment of Jordan Burch actually mean for South Carolina?
At some point, whenever it did happen, right?
Yeah,
you're just saying in general.
At any time, I mean, you'll take him on Valentine's Day, like Clowney,
Yeah.
Just, I can't help but think if you could pair up a guy like Zach Pickens, who actually has played more inside this spring maybe than I anticipated, even though we knew that was a possibility. But then with him and Burch and some of the other guys that are starting to get on the defensive line, to me, Burch is sort of that. And I'll throw a guy like Desmond Evans in there as well, the highly recruited kid from North Carolina that's an edge rusher. You add either of those two guys to what they're already sort of getting on the defensive line. To me, this would be like the next level of pass rusher, and you're starting to talk about a true, not just people like to say, oh, is this a SEC quality defensive line? I think they've recruited well enough we can say that already, but this would start to put them more towards that upper echelon of the SEC on paper type defensive line.
For sure, and we've seen their, the body types up front for them start changing under Muschamp and building more depth and building the kind of guys that they want to bring in on the defense, what they look for, and just the athletic traits with big guys that can move. And so you would be adding a great player for sure, someone who has a lot of upside, who can really, really move, and by all accounts is an NFL talent, at one point or another. This is a guy who could be an NFL tight end, and you're talking about playing him on defense. Not only that, but it's an attention getter in recruiting. I mean, it has to be said. That was the same deal with Zach Pickens. It was an attention getter for South Carolina to land him, given the other schools that were chasing him, where those programs are at, where he was located geographically, where South Carolina's program's at relative to those others. That was a big get, and so it would be 2 straight 5 stars from in-state that South Carolina won head-to-head battles on. That's a big deal.
We've seen that script before. And it worked out well the last time that happened for Carolina when Spurrier was at the height of his recruiting prowess. Everyone talks about it's about winning the state, and then kind of got away from that. And then it seemed like the discussion was was less about that and more about recruiting nationally in the same way that Clemson and Georgia and Alabama do. But the first part of that is making sure you get those guys in state. So no question that Burch is going to be huge this weekend. Who was your other pick, by the way?
Michael Wyman, 4-star receiver out of Dudley High, Greensboro, North Carolina. And this one is on the list because, A, he's been a huge priority target for South Carolina. And B, this will be the last time he's on campus prior to announcing on April the 16th. So, Chris, I think we both feel really good about where Carolina is as far as his recruitment. I look at this sort of as like the final step, to Carolina potentially landing him on his announcement date.
Yep, announcing in April. He's got a couple official visits, and one of them being South Carolina before his announcement. But
are y'all going to be there at his announcement?
Been to campus multiple times, and they're in good shape.
He's officialing before his?
After, you're right. After.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
So y'all are or not going to be there?
We will be there.
You will be there. Okay, great. Like this is so weird because one of my coworkers texted me and wanted
Sure.
to be. He knew that y'all were in the building and that we were doing this, and he just texted me and said, "Are y'all covering Wyman's ceremony?" And I was like, "Are you standing at the door, like listening to this?" Because like he texted me as soon as you said Wyman's name, so that was really weird.
Is that who's playing all that music behind us?
No, that's not. That's hey, we work in a radio station. It's a loud place with a lot of music going on at all times.
No music.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right. Excellent.
Sometimes we
Well
keep
done.
that like secret, but I don't.
Okay, well we can edit this out. That's the beauty of a podcast.
We'll be there.
Also, should bring up before we move along to our Spring Kings segment, and let you guys wrap up your last couple of recruiting thoughts. The first definition of scuttlebutt is a cask on shipboard to contain fresh water for a day's use. The second definition is a drinking fountain on a ship or at a naval or marine installation. And then the total like secondary definition is rumor or gossip. So now we know the origin of this word. It is maritime, and that's cool.
What kind of board was it?
Shipboard.
Shipboard. Okay, I have a story I would like to tell.
Please.
So that reminded when you said the word board, and we were talking about vocabulary.
I've been
you were
so
focusing on the
bored
ship.
this whole show.
When I was in, let me think of what grade. I think I was in third grade.
Okay, good
And
year.
Where is this going?
And
You
I
learned
won
multiplication that year, and
I won my school's spelling bee.
wow.
Like in the school.
What was the last word? Iridocyclitis?
It was not.
Okay.
I don't remember. It's probably a lot easier than that. So I went on to the district-wide spelling bee, and
This is in Belton.
this is in Anderson.
No, he went big on this one.
And so it was district-wide. And so basically, when you go district-wide, you take, I think it was like first grade to eighth grade or something like that. But I remember so I get to districts, and I get to the last, I'm one of the last two. So it's me and this girl who I think is in like eighth grade.
Oof.
So she's a lot older and definitely a lot smarter than me. But, and I've still got this on VHS back home.
So this is a real David and Goliath story we're telling
Right.
here.
You're in third grade, you said?
I think I was in third grade or I was in fifth. Either way, she was like 3 to 5 grades ahead of me.
Okay, and you were definitely in an odd number grade.
Yeah, definitely. And so,
Third or fifth.
I mean,
not
this
fourth.
thing was a big deal, y'all. Like the people, like my teachers came.
Obama
one
was
of them
there.
gave me a. One of them gave me afterwards, like a bank, like a.
Well, don't tell us what they gave you because
Kinda
that spoils
bank
the
thing.
story. Tell us what happened when you had to spell a word.
Okay, so I spelled a lot of words successfully.
Like what?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember the word I lost on, which is what I'm
Wait,
bringing up.
spoiler!
I know.
Dude, you know how to construct a story better than this. Come on.
So, yeah, you don't want to bury the lead too badly. So we get to the final.
getting so mad.
We get to the
I'm all about
final
burying
the
the lead.
final word. Okay, and you said the word board, and it made me think of it for some reason. They give me a word, and it's buckboard. Buckboard, which is like.
Oh yeah, buckboard.
And so
Can
I've
you use
never
that
heard
in a
of that.
sentence?
I looked it up in the dictionary because I did not know what it was even until to this day until I looked it up.
Like
the
today?
buckboard is today an
Oh.
open four-wheeled horse-drawn carriage with seating that is attached to a plank stretching between the front and rear axles. So buckboard. I asked the dude who was saying the words to repeat it, use it in a sentence, blah blah blah.
Country of origin.
And I'm embarrassed to say this, but I literally thought he said buttboard, B-U-T-T. And so even
should've just
after
asked him
I
to
got
spell
him
it.
to say it, you know how the guy pronounced buckboard. He's
Yeah.
like real. And so I think I spelled it like BUTTBOARD.
At least you
and I got buzzed. And then the
BUTTBORED.
girl did whatever word she got after that. She got it correct, and I lost.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Because of butt board.
Butt board. Stupid butt board.
But I got a. My teacher gave me like some money. You know, what are these things called where you can
gift card?
cash them in? No, you can cash them in like later. It was like people don't really use them anymore.
A CD, like a
No, it wasn't a CD either. A bond. It was a bond. There you go.
Wow.
She gave me a
handing out
bond.
bear bonds in 3rd or 5th grade?
That's right.
Oh.
Baller.
That's crazy. All right, so here's your chance at redemption.
Your word is shipboard.
Shipboard?
Shipboard.
No, wait a minute. Hold on.
Don't put any T's in this word.
Would you like me to use it in a sentence?
Shipboard is SHIPBOARD.
Oh, nice. Okay. Congratulations. You won the spelling bee. We'll find out whoever won that 8th grader, who I guess would be now a couple years older than you, and we will go take that medal from her. And maybe she still has this bear bonds.
I'm going to look her up one day and send her a
we don't
message
we don't
and
have
say
any
that
bonds for you.
she stole my chance at a $100 instead of $50.
Wow.
bond.
It's twice as much.
Yeah.
You could have bought
That's good
twice as
math.
many Starbursts. Did you buy them? Did you spend them on Starbursts?
No. I don't know what I spent it on. It was a long time ago.
Okay. Do you have any more thoughts on any of the recruits coming in this weekend?
I don't think so. Do
Okay.
you?
Marsh, I'm interested. It's going to be really interesting. You know, people ask us, is anybody going to commit? I don't know. Like, nobody's imminent, I wouldn't say, but they can definitely move up for some guys. I'm really intrigued. You know, Marshawn Lloyd, contender, pretender type of thing. That's the one where I want to see because, I mean, obviously Tank Bigsby, who's not going to be on campus this weekend, but big priority. But South Carolina may take 2 running backs. They need to add some running back talent regardless. So, second time Lloyd's visited, can they make a move for a big running back?
By the way, worth mentioning, we will be, Charlotte on Sunday
Yes.
for Rivals Camp Series. So we'll have a lot of recruiting updates from that Sunday and then throughout the week as well.
Yeah, it
So
should be a pretty good
if people listening are
list.
like recruiting fans, then I don't think we've talked about it even on the board. So be on the lookout for that next week and probably talk about it some on the podcast too.
Exactly.
All right, guys. This is what people have been tuning in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I guess we haven't done a podcast the last couple of weeks, but ever since spring football practice started, people have been eagerly awaiting a oft-promised segment, and we're going to deliver today. It's time for y'all to unveil your Spring Kings. We wanted you to go back into the annals of South Carolina football history and chronicle the most memorable, the greatest performances in the history of the South Carolina spring game in eager anticipation of somebody's name being added to that list tomorrow.
Can we make predictions on who's going to have the best spring game tomorrow as well?
Sure. That sounds good.
I also
You want to
have
make
a trivia
predictions on
question.
who's going to win? The garnet or the white or the black or the whatever?
Whatever they call them.
Yeah.
I have a trivia question, and I've also, not only are we going to have some Spring Kings, but if the board will vote on this, I also have the greatest spring game of all time.
Perfect. This fits right in. Give me the trivia question first.
Trivia question. I believe the year was 2010, but I'll even give you a hint. You know how usually Spurrier would have a celebrity come off the bench
Right.
to catch the pass, the touchdown pass. So the player who did it, I believe it was in 2010, was not Scott Spurrier.
That was my first
He was
thought.
2008.
Okay.
Who was the player that came off the bench?
2010.
And he's not the only player, so you could say another one and be right. But there's one I'm thinking of. That's part of the challenge you have to get inside my head and predict.
Ooh. Any guesses to who it might be tomorrow?
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know.
I have it. I have it.
Who is it? Oh, tomorrow?
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
But it's a secret. No.
No,
You're going to say it?
this is just a guess. It's not
Okay,
me
who is it?
spoiling it. It's just a guess.
Who is it?
Pastides.
Oh,
Final year.
Wow.
Yes, President.
Good thought. Good thought.
That's a good
It's got to be him.
God, I hope he catches
He's
it.
definitely going to drop it.
He'll catch it.
He's Y'all were so
Pastides.
confident.
No, well,
He's-
that's usually it's usually a long pass. You know, they don't
No,
run that play from the 5. They run it from like the 40.
I think they'll run it from about the 14-yard line, and it'll be a reverse pass or something, and then Pastides will catch it in the corner.
Sounds
no
like Wes
problem.
knows
Then he's going to
something.
spike it.
That's really
He'll definitely
specific.
make a big show about it.
As he should.
Yes.
That's a good call. I hope they do that.
So it's a current player?
No.
I meant not a current. I meant at the time it was a current player.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't
it was a player. Mm-hmm.
All right, in 2010?
It was 2010.
Okay, so that was SEC East Championship season. So to get everybody on what team that was Garcia's quarterback.
So
Lattimore.
how about, give me Seth Strickland.
It was not Seth Strickland.
Did he throw it? Do you know? Who
I don't
threw
know.
It?
I don't know who threw it.
Andrew Clifford? I want a backup quarterback.
It was not Andrew Clifford. Yeah, I'm talking about who called it. I don't know who threw it.
Oh, okay.
To be honest with you.
Oh man,
it's a good trivia question.
You're not going to get it.
I don't know.
I'll just tell you.
Is it? Hold on. Is it a scholarship?
No.
Play. Okay, walk on. Bryce Sherman.
That was a decent guess. No. Similar height. Small guy. You're not going to get
But
it.
Marty
not
Marquette?
Scotty, not Scott Spurrier.
It's also similar height, but no.
I really want to get this, but I feel like
So a short walk-on.
Yep.
Like a very short walk-on, not just like a
Had
normal
experience at DB, started his career at DB, moved over to wide receiver, played special teams. Actually played in some games here and there, a little bit, on special teams mainly.
Oh, man.
All right, just tell us.
Should I just say it?
Yeah, this is run.
Cedric Sneed.
Wow.
Oh.
Yes.
Everyone's going to get that.
From Garner, North Carolina.
There you go.
Did he kind of flip into the end zone?
I don't know.
I'm going to say that he
Remember
did.
that. We can say that.
I think he did. Cedric, if you're listening, confirm that for me,
confirm.
Good flip, Cedric.
I think he flipped into the end zone and kind of botched the landing. But I don't know.
Well, if he botched the landing, then I think that will keep him off of our list of greatest spring performances, even though sounds like he probably had I don't know this, but I would imagine that he had all of his spring game catches went for touchdowns, so that's a pretty good record. But we'll start with Wesley.
Oh, no.
No, okay, we'll start with Chris.
No, we can start with me.
Okay.
Now, what are
Who
we
is
going
your
for here?
spring king, the greatest spring game performance in the history of South Carolina?
I'm going to go Lou Holtz era.
Ooh, nice.
Taqi Muhammad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know his numbers, but
I got him.
Chris is so prepared for this.
He caught I want to say 15 passes in the spring game for 3 touchdowns and 150 yards.
I have 1 year of his stats. I don't know if it was there may have been multiple spring games, but I did dig up one in 2003. Very ill-fated year. But he had 7 catches for 149 yards.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's outstanding. Any touchdowns?
I did not indicate on my notes here that were written many weeks ago.
It's still a really, really strong outing.
Yeah,
solid
and
outing.
he had moved from DB to receiver for that spring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did some. Yep, that's correct. I remember reading that. He moved back and forth.
There you go. That's great.
Good
That's a
pull.
deep cut. That's excellent.
There's so
Chris, what's your
many.
nomination?
Do you have a good one?
There's
You
so
want to go
many.
next?
No, I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, I could probably think of some, but
You've been so excited about this.
Yeah, because
No.
you guys are encyclopedias for this kind of
He
stuff.
knew I did all the research. So he mailed it
Encyclopedia
in.
for this kind of stuff. I think that's the plural, the
mailed it
correct
in.
plural of encyclopedia. I didn't mail it in. I wanted to leave it to the experts. Give me
Can I- all
a
right.
couple
Can I give?
others receiving
We're
votes.
going really long on this.
Yeah, no, this
by
is
the
good.
way, I'll extend it even farther. I do have to give a shout out.
Yeah,
one
give
of
us
our
some
listeners,
notable.
one of our download
Oh, okay.
listeners, which everybody's going to listen to this on download today. He'll be listening to it on Saturday. My buddy Michael
What's up,
is
Mike?
currently, as he's listening to this, running his first half marathon
Oh,
at
cool.
Disney.
Wow,
Good grief.
that's so far.
That's a lot of running.
He's running. To
We
Disney?
run together on Friday mornings. Not that far, luckily for me, but he is running a half marathon, and hope he's doing well. And that
Incredible.
our dulcet tones are entertaining him.
This is 13.1 miles.
That's it.
He's done one before. This is his first time ever doing one.
This is his first half. He's done 5Ks and stuff like that. He's been.
Is he
going to
get the 13.1 sticker?
I don't know. I'll ask him.
Because if he doesn't, did he even run it?
Exactly. I mean, you definitely have to tell that you've done it. But yeah, anyway,
I got
shoot,
no
by
desire for that.
By the time we finish this podcast, we'll probably be done with the thing.
Yeah,
it's pretty fast.
Pretty long.
It's going to run the whole thing in an hour.
No, I don't.
He guess
so.
He started before us.
What's a good time on a?
We tried to calculate that. Man, I can't remember what he said.
Well, let's just say a 5-minute mile for 13 miles.
That's people run like a 5-minute mile for like the Boston Marathon.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that?
No.
Now, if you ran a 7-minute mile, no, let's not do that because that's ridiculous. Let's say a 9-minute mile for 13 points.
20-minute mile.
That's 2 hours.
Okay. Cool.
117.
Well, good luck, Michael. We hope that.
We hope by this point in your run, if you started at the beginning, that you're still.
Yeah, and
with
we
us.
hope that when you're listening to this, that your legs still aren't sore.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure will be.
Or
the
aren't
case.
sore yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even. Yeah. Give me some notables that aren't going to be your pick.
First, I would like to, if you don't mind, if the board agrees, I would like to mention the greatest spring game of all time, and then I would like to.
Like as the whole game.
The whole game.
Okay.
Is the greatest game of all time.
All right.
Because of the figures involved, and then maybe I'll go through some. I'll go through some Spring Kings. I'll try to pick one, but there are just so many good performances, man. I put the stuff together, so I need to mention them.
Yeah. Give us the
right,
fruits of all of your labor.
The greatest spring game of all time is in 2009. Steven Garcia, we confirmed, did play in that spring game. 30-14, Garnet top black. So listen to these standouts here, okay? Steven Garcia, who obviously did some good things at Carolina. 13 of 20 for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns in that spring game.
Solid.
Another couple top performers here. Jarvis Giles. Wes, you know his stats that year?
I don't.
114 yards on 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. Joe Hills. 5 catches, 75 yards, a touchdown. Okay. All right, then. Reed McCollum threw a 70 Somerville threw a 70-yard pass to Stephen Flint.
Wanda
Noted in the game story that it was called back because he ran off the sideline.
Oh, okay.
All right, McCollum also connected with Jason Barnes on a 15-yard pass. Wesley Saunders,
he wore number 4,
had some catches.
Now coaching at Dutch Fort.
That's correct. Has a really good group of receivers there. Does a really nice job.
This is why I didn't even want to try to get in on this, because this is impressive to watch.
Eric Baker had a 35-yard rush. Reggie Bowens had 8 tackles.
Wow.
Garcia to Mo Brown for 9 yards. I mean, there's just no shortage.
I remember
inputting
by hand all of these people into NCAA football that year. That's how I know them. Because I was a psychopath in 2009.
And Lanning Spencer had a field goal.
Spencer Lanning?
Mm-hmm. Let's call him Lanning
Spencer.
That's what Spurrier
called him.
Really?
From York Comprehensive High School.
That's all I've got on that. But anyway, that was the greatest spring game of all time, in my humble opinion.
2009. And I love how it's become, I don't know, like everyone's, it's the Mandela effect is what it is. Everyone's collective memory has canonized the apocrypha that Steven Garcia never played in a spring game. And he, in fact, played in 2. And everyone has just agreed that he never played in any, which is hilarious.
I thought I've even seen Garcia say that he never played in a spring game.
Yeah, well, he might not remember either of the spring games. All right, give me your Spring Kings. Let's go through the list. Give me some notable performances.
All right, I'm going to run through them
that are not worthy of the crown.
Like Fritzy from Dan Patrick when he does mock headlines.
Yeah, exactly.
And goes through them fast. All right. Yvonne Banag, 6 tackles, 1 sack in 2006.
Oh. He's a high school coach now, too, I think, in Georgia, maybe. Or he was a few years ago. Very
nice. Great guy. Yvonne's a great guy. Corey Boyd, I mean, does that count? No, we won't do Corey. He did some good things. Freddie Brown, 4 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns in 2006. Freddie also played.
Yeah, I wanted him to be like a real deep threat so he could be downtown Freddie Brown, which is already like an occupied nickname. But that's just so good.
Just give it to him.
Yeah. I mean, when you're named Freddie Brown, you have to either go downtown a lot or shoot a lot of threes or catch a lot of long passes. Just something that could earn you the nickname Downtown Freddie Brown, because that's just great.
Oh, man. Okay. Caleb Chalmers, 8 tackles in 2017. 2008, Matt Clements, 5 catches for 68 yards. We already mentioned Jarvis Giles. Carlton Hurd, 3 catches for 46 yards in 2015. Also had one of the most famous plays in Carolina history, blocked the punt down in the swamp. That was the last game the last game where Muschamp was officially the head coach. He coached finished the regular season, but that game. 2005, Devon Hill, 5 catches, 100 yards.
Remember that.
Kenny Irons had 19 for 99 in 2003, then transferred to Auburn, played against the Gamecocks. All right, here's some more. Jimmy Legree, 2 picks in 2011. He was a good player for Carolina, starter, but still. Brandon McElwain was 18 for 22, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns in 2016. Here's a good one. Savell Newton, who was obviously a very good player at Carolina. But this is just worth noting. It's a really good game. He had 277 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and also rushed for 71 in 2004.
Jeez.
Brendan Nosovich, 11 for 15, 146, 2 touchdowns in 2013. Sidney Rhodes had 12 tackles in 2013 and played on both teams. So that is pretty awesome. Keel Pollard had 8 for 91 in 2017. Dawn Staley had a 30-yard touchdown catch.
Does it note that she also came off the sideline?
Nope, we don't. We just say that she caught it. She just got open and caught it. Cade Thompson, 10 for 13, 136, 2 touchdowns in 2006. Let me see if I got any more. That's going to about do it. But let me give one that was not so good, and he was a good player at Carolina for the most part. Had some good games. Blake Mitchell. This was an interesting performance. 2007, he was 13 of 39 for 150 yards and 2 picks. So that was not a good game for Blake. Yeah, maybe Blake's just not good at spring games.
Was that the day that the quarterbacks combined to throw like
100 picks? I think so, yeah. I'd have to go back.
Was that the season that started with Carolina throwing 1 million picks? Like Tommy Beecher and all those guys just sort of like rotating in and out, and they threw like 5 or 6 picks in the first half?
Beecher had was it 4 against NC State?
Yeah.
And Carolina still
they
whipped
won
him.
Yeah.
I mean, whipped him. It wasn't even close.
Was that the start of the 2008 season?
So was that okay? So they were in the spring before. Those quarterbacks just love to throw interceptions in the
2008.
Okay,
you're right, Wes. Tommy Beecher, 10 of 22, 106 yards, 4 picks, and Carolina won 34-0.
Well, Chris Smelly came off the bench and was like throwing dimes, dude.
Well, but he threw a pick or 2 as well. Because I really think they had 5 interceptions in the first half, didn't they?
Against NC
State? There was a third quarterback that played as well.
No, Smelly.
Smelly was on fire.
5 of 5 and two touchdowns.
Okay, wait, there was another quarterback that played in that game, though, right? Or was it just the 2?
This just says just the 2.
Okay, all right.
34-0 when you throw 4 picks in one half.
Yeah.
With who was the quarterback for NC State?
Russell Wilson.
With Russell Wilson as their quarterback.
Carolina beat him both years at NC State.
Russell Wilson was 1 for 5 in that game.
I must have.
Daniel Evans appears to have been the starter. He was 4 of 12 and 2
They threw
picks.
13 passes and lost 34-0?
They threw 20 passes total.
Who threw the other side?
Daniel Evans, Russell Wilson, and Harrison Beck.
Jeez. But the next year, wasn't Russell Wilson?
I think
next year he was.
It was like 7-0 or 10-7
7-3 or something.
7-3.
I think it was 7-3. Devin Taylor blocked a punt.
And NC State was driving at the end, and Stephon Gilmore batted down the pass.
That's right. Look at that.
And then Russell Wilson went to Wisconsin and then was a baller in the NFL. But somehow he only scored 3 points against Carolina.
Yep.
That 34-0, that's one of the strangest Carolina games in history.
Yeah, that's weird.
That and the game in 2012 where Carolina went down to the swamp and lost 44-11, and Florida did next to nothing on offense and won by 33. It was a weird game.
Yeah, I remember that because I think Florida had more points than yards at one point in that game, like at halftime maybe.
Oh, yeah. Carolina they started with a turnover. They dialed up a nickel blitz on the first play, fumbled. Florida punched it in.
That's brutal. I remember exactly where I was watching that game, too. That was weird. All right, so of all those wonderful performances that you just mentioned, the Blake Mitchell outing notwithstanding, which one of those do you nominate as your Spring King?
That is a really tough one. We got dead air.
Who had 12 tackles one year?
That was Sidney Rhodes. He had 12 tackles playing for both teams. That's
a really good one. That's a very strong entry.
That's a strong one. Man, I don't know. Jarvis Giles just because
the change of pace back that never was, unfortunately.
You'd be tempted to give it to him 12 for 117 and 2 touchdowns.
That's really good, too.
You know?
And I'm sure one of those was a long one. Does it have a long next to his?
Yeah, and I know he had a 39-yard carry in that game.
Because he was fast. He was really fast.
He could definitely move.
Yeah, he could move.
No doubt about it.
All right, so you're going with Jarvis Giles or Sidney Rhodes?
I'm going to go with Giles just to appease the masses because everybody loves Jarvis Giles.
I know, he's
stories.
awesome. I don't know. I always liked him for like no real reason other than he was just cool. Actually, it was because he balled out in NCAA for me. Because again, like that was like, I guess that would have been NCAA 2009.
How much of your childhood was based around the NCAA
Most of it.
football game?
Most of it, yeah.
Most of it.
Yeah, well, like what else? You know, you watch football. When you're a teenager, you watch football, you play NCAA, you go to school. What else did y'all do?
Well,
I mean, I guess y'all didn't have NCAA growing up because you're old, but...
Yes, we had NCAA growing up.
Definitely.
Well, then you know what I'm talking about.
Will that game ever come back in any form?
Yes.
Think so?
Yeah, but it won't return to its glorious heights, unfortunately. Actually, fortunately, for the sake of productivity for Americans everywhere.
Would you buy it the day it came out?
Yeah. If for no other reason than just like the intrigue, even though I'm certain it wouldn't be that good. Not as good as it was, unfortunately. And also, like, I'm not 16 anymore, so it probably just wouldn't be as fun for me to sit there for 6 hours and like manually input everybody's name. But I love that stuff.
You don't have to do that anymore because
exactly.
You just download them now,
right?
So
yeah.
Let somebody else do.
But that was part of
work.
the fun of it. You know, that was like how I would get ready for football season.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, that's what you do in the long slow days of summer. All right, who do y'all think is going to be the player of the game tomorrow?
So I was going to say Keel Pollard, but I think part of that was because
he balled out 2 years ago.
Had in my mind that he was great last year. You know what? I'm going to go Kevin Harris. Because I think, okay, he's a young guy, so he'll play a bunch. They'll probably get the older backs out of there. Rico Daddle's been limited. They probably won't play mine a lot. Sean Fenwick could maybe have a big day, too. But I think freshman, they'll leave him in there a lot. His hard running style against what will be like second and third teamers by the end of the game, I think lends itself to Kevin having some stats.
Kevin Harris?
Kevin Harris is
Chris?
my pick for.
I'm going to pick a defensive player. I'm going to go with Ernest Jones.
Mm.
He's going to have a whole bucket load of tackles.
How many tackles?
I'll give him 9 tackles.
There are 9 tackles in a bucket, apparently.
Yes.
That's what I learned today.
Bucket full.
All right. I'm pretty proud of this pick. I think this is going to be... we mentioned Sidney Rhodes because he had 12 tackles, which was technically a bucket and a third full of tackles.
Yes.
But also because he played on both teams. How about tomorrow, A.J. Turner's going to have 5 tackles, 1 pass defended, and 6 carries for like 58 yards and a touchdown.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be a really solid outing to have a bunch of tackles?
It would be a great outing.
If he has like 50 yards rushing and like 5 tackles, that'd be really cool.
I don't know if he's going to play that much, but I think
if he plays 30 snaps, he plays 20 of them on defense, gets 5 tackles. Actually, that'd be a lot, but I don't know. I'm just feeling
it could happen though. That'd be.
Yeah, I also just really like AJ. I've never met. Well, I mean, I've like been in a scrum with him, but I've never met him. But I want to just like hang out with him. He seems like a cool dude.
He's a funny guy.
He is.
Yeah. Well, that was great, guys. That was a marathon. We went long on that.
Yes,
that was good.
A half marathon.
Yep.
Oh,
Shout out Michael.
Shout out Michael. You should be about. I don't know.
It's already finished and asleep now.
Yeah.
Passed out.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed.
Pastides for the
Yeah, that's a great pick.
That's
That's a really good pick. So he's going to be the real player.
If it's not him, it should have been him.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being patient. I hope the Spring King segment lived up to us hyping it up for like literally a month. And we'll be back next week to break down again, like all of the questions that we have emerging from the spring game and the few answers that we may or may not actually get. So thanks as always for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And we'll talk to you next Thursday. So normally, I eat avocado toast for breakfast or just like oatmeal or muesli. Something like that.
I don't know what muesli is.
It's like oatmeal, but it comes like prepackaged with like sunflower seeds and raisins and stuff like that. It's and you can eat it. You can eat it like cereal. Where like oatmeal, you gotta cook it. So muesli is faster. So
is that the overnight oats? What is that?
That's just preparing oatmeal overnight.
But people like market it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you soak it or something?
Yeah, but I mean,
people put it in a
just
jar.
Oats. So oatmeal is oats, obviously, and there are oats in muesli, but it's also got like a whole bunch of other stuff in it.